Hello, everybody. I'm Lori Jo Vest with Pop Speed Digital Marketing, and it's time for another Hot Take Tuesday. And let me tell you, my hot take for today is that it is a Monday. It started at 6:30, and it's just been insane all day already. And what time is it? 10.
10 a.m.
With we're a few minutes late because we had some technical issues with StreamYard. Improperly displaying our slides. So we're just going to dive in and make the best of it because what else is there to do when things go sideways? Just dive
Yeah.
in and make the
Yep.
best of it. So, Kylie, what are we talking about today?
So last week we attended Hootsuite's ROI trend webinar. If you're in marketing and you haven't checked out some of Hootsuite's webinars, they are amazing, always full of information. I know there's another one actually tomorrow that I'm registered for, kind of focusing on different trends on specific platforms. So we'll always hype up Hootsuite, but we wanted to focus today on some of the three big things we pulled from that webinar. And a lot of it is reinforcement, but we thought it was important to touch on. So our three big things for today are that ROI when it comes to social is everything,
Yeah.
self-promotion is out, and engagement does not necessarily equal conversion.
Yeah, things have been changing. And if you're in the social space, Hootsuite is a scheduling platform. If you're not in the social space, these scheduling platforms like Sprout Social, Hootsuite, Loomly, they all have really wonderful social media research and recommendations and trends information. Highly recommend you follow them if you want to know what's really happening. So I watched it too, Kylie, and ROI is everything.
Yeah.
Basically, there's clients don't really care if 10 out of 100 people clicked on, or liked or commented. What they want to know is, are you making a difference to my business?
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting too, because you'll often hear us say, I'm sure we've said it on every single Hot Take Tuesday we've done so far, that social media works. It really, really does. And, it makes sense to us why people kind of trying to advance into the social space for their brand are mostly concerned with ROI. Everything is about ROI,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So, something that we have found is a lot of people come into whether they're talking to us or talking to, colleagues of ours that are also in digital marketing, is that they feel like they've either been burned in the past or haven't had results in the past. So they're very skeptical
Right.
about social media and whether or not it can generate ROI. To us, we're a little bit skeptical right back sometimes because we want to know who was doing your social, how was it being applied, what was the
Yeah.
strategy, were things just kind of being thrown up with the hopes that they go viral. What did
Yeah.
that look like? So for us, it's important to kind of acknowledge that ROI is important, but if you're doing it right, it's a lot more likely that you'll see that ROI.
Right. And I think too, we are, let me say this, I'm going to say it in a way that doesn't sound so great, but we are just as guilty as every other social media shop saying our engagement rates are really high. And that's a beautiful thing because it means people are compelled to act on your content. But the action needs to be deeper. And the deeper action is going to the website, filling out a form, converting. And that's the kind of thing that we all need to focus on now more in the social media industry as well, because awareness can be measured, sentiment can be measured, and there's ways to measure that, but it can be a little waffly. You cannot argue with signups. You cannot argue with,
Yeah.
sales. Those are the things that really do make a difference for a client. And
Hmm.
it is possible, and it may take you a little bit to figure it out, but it is possible. Anything else to say on this one?
I think just to kind of reiterate what you just said, Lori, it's really important to look at ROI as something that takes time, like that real
Yeah.
ROI. It doesn't happen overnight. It doesn't happen with one viral post like a lot of people may think. It takes
Hmm.
like real intent backed by a strategy and potentially 3, 6 months, maybe even up to a year. So it requires
Yeah.
patience to get there.
And adjustments. And that's the thing. Like
Yeah.
whenever we enter a new business category, we get in there and we start watching from day one what's happening. to see what kind of content converts and doing more of that. And sometimes our strategy starting out evolves, 180 degrees within 6 months,
Right.
but we will be
Right.
getting results in 6 months. And the
Mhm.
clients have to kind of go along for the ride in understanding that those changes need to be made to get the results they want. So if you're a client, flexibility early on in your new agency engagement is a really good thing because
Yeah.
there's a lot of adjustments that can be made to make things better but you got to start somewhere, right? So,
Mhm.
all right, now let's our next slide.
We will be talking about how self promotion is out. So, this is something, again, that we kind of talk about a lot. We'll, again, often say that the best social media strategy is to stand out by fitting in. This
Hmm.
is because a lot of social media users, and by a lot, we mean the vast majority of social media users, go to any given platform to either be entertained or to interact with people that they know. It's really not to
Yeah.
be sold to. So, what we mean when we say this is you should be prioritizing content that resembles what your audience wants to see, which is not
Yeah.
self promotion. So we recommend avoiding the sales pitch and promotions. If you don't, you might be at risk of losing your audience to the string of just
Hmm.
constant scrolling and skipping what you're saying. And if you're really pushy about it, you might even earn an unfollow
Yeah.
from annoyed audience members that are kind of just like, I'm not really interested if this is all you're going to be showing me. So
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
are really turned off by the self promotion. But at the same time, if they followed you in the first place, it's really likely that they want to know how what you do can improve their quality of life, their business, their, you know, what they do at home, whatever that looks like for them, whatever your brand offers. So it's
Hmm.
important to strike a balance. Balance is everything. So
Yeah.
it's important to say what you need to say, tell your audience what they need to know, but really get creative with it. Um, so when you're on their feed, they're engaging with what you're saying because it is familiar, because it is entertaining, because it's informative in a way that they resonate with, but by
Hmm.
not being too pushy with that self promotion.
Right. And I always say you need to earn the right to promote.
Yeah.
So maybe
Mhm.
4 story, how to, factoids, funny to 1 promotion, maybe, and look at it as, proving your authority with great information, proving your helpfulness with useful content, and that earns the right to promote to that same audience. So Molly, what do you have to say about this? You do a lot of social media.
I definitely agree with like everything that we have already said, but especially in terms of like striking that balance and like even for me when I'm planning content for clients, like I try to strike that like 80% like useful content, maybe has typically has a CTA that like drives them to the website or gets them to become a
Deeper
lead of
into the
some sort.
story.
But
Yeah.
exactly. But at the heart of the content, making sure that it's useful for our audiences and not just like being like sell, sell, sell. And
Yeah.
I have always
We're
found that,
self-serving.
yeah,
Right.
I've always found that the stuff that is useful is going to play better. And it always has.
Always. Yeah, it
Absolutely.
really does. And that, your helpful, useful content also is your proof. That's your
Right.
your proof that you're good at what you do. When you go on social and you share your information, it's like we're doing here, sharing what
Right.
we know in a way that the audience can then use.
Hmm.
That's a form of promotion, but it's a lot
Right.
more intriguing to your customer than,
Right.
hey, look at us, we do this. Can we help you? It's
More
not
subtle.
engaging. And that's,
Right.
yeah, subtle is good. Subtle
Subtle
and
is good.
helpful are both really good.
Yes.
All
All
right.
right.
And
So, our last big takeaway from Hootsuite's webinar last week is that engagement does not necessarily equal conversion. So,
mhm,
engagement is one of those, whether it's engagement, just the straight ahead numbers, engagement rate. Um, specific likes, comments, shares, anything like that. They're important metrics, and there's something that we pay attention to month over month. But it's important to, and Hootsuite kind of laid out the numbers for us, to understand and communicate with clients, or if you're a social media manager internally for a company, to your higher ups, that engagement does not necessarily mean conversion is happening.
Right.
So are we saying you should ignore engagement? No, absolutely not. You want to make sure that your content is engaging. But again, with striking a balance, you want to be able to kind of set up the brand for success, to, read between the lines a little bit and make sure that whatever you're putting out is in turn bettering the bettering the brand, bettering the business, and leading to those conversions. So something to kind of keep in mind here is that two things can be true at once. You can have really high engagement, but conversion can be low, and vice versa. So it's important to pay attention to the metrics that matter, which in this case, if you're trying to measure conversion specifically, might be leads, it might be click-throughs, it might be signups that came from a Facebook form, things like that. So it's important to place as much emphasis, if not more, on those metrics than engagement.
Absolutely. Molly, do you have anything to add?
I feel like we kind of covered everything.
Yeah, it's always fun when you see like what I find really intriguing is a lot of times when you're looking at a page and people see 4 or 5 posts that have 2 or 3 likes on them and they think, oh, this page isn't doing very well.
Right.
Well, behind the scenes, they could be running ads that brought in 150 leads that week. And you would have no idea because you can't see that from the front end.
Exactly.
So as a client,
I think that's a really, sorry. I was going to say, I think that's a really important point to bring up because, we talk about it a lot. Organic social is largely dead. And that just, it makes ads, paramount in your digital marketing success. And we actually, Lori and I were just talking about this the other day. We've been running a similar ad for the last few weeks for one of our clients that really needs a surge of volunteers. And we found that this ad has been working for bringing in people to fill out their form and kind of engage and learn more. So I'm not going to try to fix what isn't broken, like we'll make small tweaks, but if they need volunteers and this ad is working, we're going to prioritize it.
Right. So basically, when you get a new social team, ask them what conversion means to them and clarify what conversion means to you as a client so that you're on the same page. Because if your agency is telling you all about likes and comments and shares, wow, isn't that cool? But what you need is new clients and new leads or signups or volunteers or donations. You want to ask for that because that should all be part of your social goals. Now, the thing that I will add is conversion oftentimes requires a lot more than just social. We can bring in the leads. We can get somebody to send you their name, their email address, and their telephone number. But what happens when you get that information, how quickly you act on it, and who the person is that actually contacts that individual to convert them is so critical. So if you're doing a leads campaign or, something that's generating clients, potential, prospects to give you their information, really focus on what happens to that information once it gets into your hands and make sure you're closing that loop to convert that and turn them into a customer, volunteer, whatever it is you're looking for. So that's what we have for you today, right?
Well, you just totally read my mind on what I was about to say.
I do that sometimes.
I really do.
I do that. All right, everybody, we will see you next week. If you have an idea that you'd like us to talk about on a Hot Take Tuesday or, a specific aspect of social media that you're really curious about, drop us a comment or connect with any one of us on LinkedIn and ask, and we'll drop it into our conversations here. So take care, everybody. Have a great day. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.